Chapter 37 Major Tom. Out of the three of us, Miranda had almost always been the sweetest to August, hugging him and playing with him along after Ella and I had moved on to playing something else. Even as we got older, Miranda always made sure to try to include August in our conversation, ask him how he was doing, talk to him about Avatar or Star Wars or Bone or something she knew he liked. It was Miranda who had given Audrey the astronaut helmet he wore practically every day of the year when he was 5 or 6. She would call him Major Tom, and they would sing Space Oddity by David Bowie together. It was their little thing. They knew all the words and would blast it on the iPod and sing the song out loud. Since Miranda's always been really good about calling us as soon as she got home from summer camp, I was a little surprised when I didn't hear from her. I even texted her and she didn't reply. I figured maybe she had ended up staying in the camp longer now that she was a counselor. Maybe she met a cute guy. Then I realized from her Facebook wall that she had actually been back home for a full 2 weeks. So I sent her an IM and we chatted online a bit, but she didn't give me a reason for not calling, which I thought were bizarre. Miranda had always been a little flaky, so I figured that's all it was. We made plans to meet downtown, but then I had to cancel because we were driving out to visit Tata and Popa for the weekend. So I end up not seeing either Miranda or Ella until the first day of school. And I have to admit, I was shocked. Miranda looked so different. Her hair was cut in this super cute bob that she would dye bright pink, of all things. And she was wearing a striped tube top that seemed way inappropriate for school and was totally not her usual style. Miranda had always been such a prude about clothes, and here she was all pink haired and tube topped. But it wasn't just the way she looked that was different. She was acting differently too. I can't say she wasn't nice because she was, but she seemed kind of distant, like I was a casual friend. It was the weirdest thing in the world. At lunch, the three of us sat together like we always used to, but the dynamics had shifted. It was obvious to me that Ella and Miranda had gotten together a few times during the summer without me, though they never actually said that. I pretended not to be at all upset while we talked, though I could feel my face getting hot, my smile being fake. Although Ella wasn't as over the top as Miranda, I noticed a change in her casual style too. It's like they had talked to each other beforehand about redoing their image at the new school, but hadn't bothered to clue me in. I admit, I had always thought I was about this kind of typical teenage pettiness, but I felt a lump in my throat throughout lunch. My voice quivered as I said see you later when the bell rang.
Chapter 38 After School. I hear we're driving you home today. It's 1 minute in it period. She had just sat down at the desk right behind me. I had forgotten that Mom had called Mjolnir's mother the night before to ask if she could drive me home from school. You don't have to, I answered instinctively casually. My mom can pick me up. I thought she had to pick Augie up or something. It turns out she can pick me up afterward. She just texted me. Not a problem. Oh, okay, thanks. It's well aligned on my part, but I couldn't see sitting in a car with a new Mjolnir. Afterward, I ducked into a restroom to avoid bumping into Mjolnir's mother outside. Half an hour later, I walked out of the school, ran the 3 blocks to the bus stop, hopped on the M86 to Central Park West, and took the subway home. Hey there, sweetie, Mom said the moment I stepped through the front door. How was your first day? I was starting to wonder where you guys were. We stopped for pizza. Incredible how easily a line can slip through your lips. Is Miranda not with you? She seemed surprised that millionaire wasn't right behind me. She went straight home. We have a lot of homework. On your first day? Yes, on our first day. I yelled, which completely surprised Mom. But before she could say anything, I said, school was fine. It's really big though. The kids seem nice. I wanted to give her enough information so she couldn't feel the need to ask me more. How was August's first day of school? Mom hesitated. Her eyebrows still high up on her forehead from when I snapped at her a second earlier. Okay, she said slowly, like she was letting out her breath. What do you mean okay? I said. Was it so good or bad? He said it was good. So why do you think it wasn't good? I didn't say it wasn't good. Yes, weird. What's up with you? Just forget I asked anything at all, I answered, and stormed dramatically into August's room and slammed the door. He was on his PlayStation and didn't even look up. I hated how zombified his video games made him. So how was school? I said, scooching Daisy over so I could sit on his bed next to him. Fine, he answered, still not looking up from his game. Aki, I'm talking to you. I pulled the PlayStation out his hand. Hey, he said angrily. How was school? I said fine. He yelled back, grabbing the PlayStation back from me. Were people nice to you? Yes. No one's mean? He put the PlayStation down and looked up at me as if I had just asked the dumbest question in the world. Why would people be mean? He said. It was the first question in his line. The first time in his line that I heard him be satisfied like that. I didn't think he had it in him.
Chapter 13 The Padawan Beats the Dust. I'm not sure at what point that night Augie had cut off his Padawan bread, or why that made me really mad. I had always found his obsession with everything Star Wars kind of geeky, and that bread in the back of his hair, with his little beds, was just awful. But he had always been so proud of it, of how long it took him to grow it, of how he had chosen the beast himself in a craft store in Soho. He and Christopher, his best friend, used to play with lightsabers and Star Wars stuff whenever they got together. And they had both started growing their breasts at the same time. When August cut his bread off that night, without an explanation, without telling me beforehand, which was surprising, or even calling Christopher, I was so upset that I can't even explain why. I've seen Augie brushing his hair in the bedroom mirror. He meticulously tries to get every hair in place. He tilts his head to look at himself from different angles, like there's some magic perspective inside the mirror that could change the dimension of his face. Mom knocked on my door after dinner. She looked drained, and I realized that between me and Augie, today have been a tough day to her too. So you want to tell me what's up? She asked nicely, softly. Not now, okay? I answered. I was reading. I was tired. Maybe later I would be up to telling her about Miranda, but not now. I'll check you in before you go to bed, she said, and then she came over and kissed me on the top of my head. Can Daisy sleep with me tonight? Sure, I'll bring her in later. Don't forget to come back, I said as she left. I promise. But she didn't come back that night. Dad did. He told me Augie had had a bad first day and Mom was helping him through it. He asked me how my day had gone and I told him fine. He said he didn't believe me for a second, and I told him Miranda and Ella were acting like jerks. I didn't mention how I took the subway home by myself though. He said nothing tests friendship like high school, and then proceeded to poke fun at the fact that I was reading War and Peace. Not real fun, of course. Since I'd heard him brag to people that he had a 15-year-old who is reading Tolstoy. But he liked to read me about where I was in the book, in the war part or in the peace part. and if there was anything in there about Napoleon's days as a hip-hop dancer, it was silly stuff, but that always managed to make everyone laugh, and sometimes that's all you need to feel better. "Don't be mad at Mom," he said as he bent down to give me a goodnight kiss. "You know how much she worries about Augie." "I know," I acknowledged. "Want the light on or off? It's getting kind of late," he said, pausing by the light switch at the door. "Can you bring Daisy in first?" 2 seconds later, he came back with Daisy dangling in his arms, and he laid her down next to me on the bed. "Good night, sweetheart," he said, kissing my forehead. He kissed Daisy on her forehead too. "Good night, girlie. Sweet dreams."
Chapter 40. On a partition at the door. Once, I got up in the middle of the night because I was thirsty, and I saw Mom standing outside Augie's room. Her hand was on the doorknob, her forehead leaning on the door, but it was urgent. She wasn't going in his room or stepping out, just standing right outside the door, as if she was listening to the sound of his breathing as he slept. The hallway lights were out. The only thing illuminating her was the blue nightlight in Augie's bedroom. She looked ghost-like standing there, or maybe I should say angelic. I tried to walk back in my room without disturbing her, but she heard me and walked over to me. "Is Augie okay?" I asked. I knew that sometimes he would wake up choking on his own saliva if he accidentally turned over on his back. "Oh, he's fine," she said, wrapping her arms around me. She walked me back into my room, pulled the covers on me, and kissed me goodnight. She never explained what she was doing outside the door, and I never asked. I wonder how many nights she stood outside the door, and I wonder if she ever stood outside my door like that.
Chapter 41. Breakfast. "Can you pick me up from school today?" I said the next morning, smearing some cream cheese on my bagel. Mom was making Augie's lunch, American cheese on whole wheat bread, soft enough for Augie to eat, while August sat eating oatmeal at the table. Dad was getting ready to go to work. Now that I was in high school, the new school routine was going to be that Dad and I would take the subway together in the morning, which meant his having to leave 15 minutes earlier than usual. Then I would get off at my stop, and he would keep going. And Mom was going to pick me up after school in car. I was going to call Miranda's mother to see if she could drive you home again. Mom answered. "No, Mom," I said quickly. "You pick me up or I just take the subway." "You know I don't want you to take the subway by yourself yet," she answered. "Mom, I'm 15. Everybody my age takes the subway by themselves." "They can take the subway home," said Dad from the other room, adjusting his tie as he stepped into the kitchen. "Why can't Miranda's mother just pick her up again?" Mom argued with him. "She's old enough to take the subway by herself," Dad insisted. Mom looked at both of us. "Is something going on?" She didn't address her question to either one of us in particular. You would know if you had come back to check on me," I said spitefully. "Like you said you would." "Oh God, Veer," said Mom, remembering now how she had completely ditched me last night. She put down the knife she was cutting Augie's grape in half, still a choking hazard from him because of the size of his plate. "I'm so sorry. I fell asleep in Augie's room by the time I woke up." I know. I nodded indifferently. Mom came over, put her hands on my cheek, and lifted my face to look at her. "I'm really, really sorry," she whispered. I could tell she was. "It's okay," I said. "Veer." "Mom, it's fine." This time I meant it. She looked so genuinely sorry. I just wanted to let her off the hook. She kissed and hugged me, and returned to the rapes. "So, is something going on with Miranda?" she asked. Just that she is acting like a complete jerk. Miranda is not a jerk. Augie would quickly chime in. She can't be. I yelled. Believe me. Okay then, I will pick you up, no problems. Mom said decisively, sweeping the half-grape into a snack bag with a sharper knife. That was the plan all along anyway. I will pick Augie up from school in the car, and then we will pick you up. We will probably get there about 3:45. No, I said firmly, before she would even finish. Isabel, she can take a subway, said I impatiently. She's a big girl now. She's reading War and Peace for crying out loud. What does War and Peace have to do with anything? Answered Mom, clearly annoyed. It means you don't have to pick her up in the car like she's a little girl. He said sternly. Veer, are you ready? Get your bag and let's go. I'm ready, I said, pulling on my backpack. Bye, Mom. Bye, Augie. I kissed them both quickly and headed toward the door. Do you even have a Metro card? Mom said after me. Of course, she has Metro card, answered Dad, fully exasperated. Yes, Mama. Stop worrying so much. Bye, he said, kissing her on the cheek. Bye, big boy, he said to August, kissing him on the top of his head. I'm proud of you. Have a good day. Bye, Daddy. You too. Dad and I jogged down the stoop stairs and head down the block. Call me after school before you get on the subway. Mom yelled me from the window. I didn't even turn round, but waved my hand at her so he would know I heard her. Dad did turn around, walk backward for a few steps. War and Peace, Isabel, she called out, smiling as he pointed at me. War and Peace.
Chapter 42, Genetics 101. Both sides of Dad's family were used from Russia and Poland. Papa's grandparents fled the pogroms and ended up in NYC at the turn of the century. Tata's parents fled the Nazi and ended up in Argentina in the 40s. Papa and Tata met at a dance on the Lower East Side while she was in town visiting a cousin. They got married, moved to Bayside, and had Dad and Uncle Ben. Mom's side of the family is from Brazil, except for her mother, my beautiful grands, and her dad, Augusto, who died before I was born. The rest of Mom's family, all her grandmothers, aunts, uncles, and cousins, still live in Alto Leblon, a ritzy suburb south of Rio. Grants and Augusto moved to Boston in the early 60s and had Mom and Aunt Kate, who's married to Uncle Potter. Mom and Dad met at Brown University and have been together ever since. Isabel and Nate, like two peas in a pod. They moved to New York right after college, had me a few years later, then moved to a brick townhouse in North River Heights, the hippie stroller capital of Upper Manhattan, when I was about a year old. Not one person in the exotic mix of my family gene pool has ever shown any obvious signs of having what August has. I have poured over Granny sepia pictures of long-dead relatives in barber skirts, black and white snapshots of distant cousins in crisp white linen suits, soldiers in uniform, ladies with beehive hairdos, polaroids of bell-bottom teenagers and long-haired hippies, and not once have I been able to detect even the slightest trace of August's face in their faces. Not a one, but after August was born, my parents underwent genetic counseling. They were told that August had what seemed to be a previously unknown type of Manipulofacial dysostosis caused by an autosomal recessive mutation in the TCOF1 gene, which is located on chromosome 5, complicated by a hemifacial microsomia characteristic of OAV spectrum. Sometimes these mutations occur during pregnancy. Sometimes they are inherited from one parent carrying the dominant gene. Sometimes they are caused by an interaction of many genes, possibly in combination with environmental factors. This is called multifactorial inheritation. In August's case, the doctors were able to identify one of the single nucleotide deletion mutations that made gore on his face. The weird thing is, though you would never know it from looking at them, both my parents carry that mutant gene, and I carry it too.
Chapter 43 The Punnett Square. If I have children, there's a 1 in 2 chance that I will pass on the defective gene to them. That doesn't mean they will look like August, but they will carry the gene that got double dosed in August and have him make him the way he is. If I marry someone who has the same defective gene, there's a 1 in 2 chance that our kids will carry the gene and look totally normal, and a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will not carry the gene at all, and a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will look like August. If August had children with someone who doesn't have a trace of the gene, there's a 1% probability that their kids will inherit the gene, but a 0% chance that their kids will have a double dose of it, like August, which means they will carry the gene no matter what, but they could look totally normal. If we marry someone who has the gene, their kids will have the same onset by kids. This only explains the part of August that's explainable. There's that other part of his genetic makeup that's not inherited but incredibly bad luck. Countless doctors have drawn little tic-tac-toe grids for my parents over the years to try to explain the genetic lottery to them. Geneticists use the Punnett square to determine inheritance, recessive and dominant genes, probabilities and chance. But for all they know, there's more they don't know. They can try to forecast the odds, but they can't guarantee them. They use terms like germline mosaicism, chromosome rearrangement, or delayed mutation to explain why their science is not an exact science. I actually like how doctors talk. I like the sound of science. I like how words you don't understand explain things you can't understand. There are countless people under words like germline mosaicism, chromosome rearrangement, or delayed mutation. Countless babies who'll never be born like mine.
Chapter 45, October 31st. Grant has died the night before Halloween. Since then, even though it's been 4 years, this has only been a sad time of year for me. For Mom too, though she doesn't always say it. Instead, she immersed herself in getting August's costume ready, since we all know Halloween is his favorite time of year. This year was no different. August really wanted to be a Star Wars character called Boba Fett, so Mom looked for a Boba Fett costume in August size, which, strangely enough, was out of stock everywhere. She went to every online store, found a few on eBay that were going on an outrageous amount, and finally ended up buying a Jango Fett costume that she then converted into a Boba Fett costume by painting it green. I would say, in all, she must have spent 2 weeks working on the stupid costume. And no, I won't mention the fact that Mom has never made any of my costumes, because it really has no bearing on anything at all. The morning of Halloween, I woke up thinking about grants, which made me really sad and grumpy. Dad kept telling me to hurry and get dressed, which just shut me out even more, and suddenly I started crying. I just wanted to stay home. So Dad took August to school that morning and Mom said I could stay home, and the two of us cried together for a while. One thing I knew for sure, however much I miss Grant, Mom must have missed her more. On those times August was clinging to life after a surgery, on those rush trips to the ER. Grant has always been there for Mom. It felt good to cry with Mom for both of us. At some point, Mom had the idea of our watching The Ghost and Mrs. Moore together, which was one of our all-time favorite black and white movies. I agreed that was a great idea. I think I probably would have used this weeping season as an opportunity to tell Mom everything that was going on at school with Miranda and Ella. But just as we were sitting down in front of the DVD player, the phone rang. It was the nurse from August's school calling to tell Mom that August had a stomachache and should be picked up. So much for the old movies and the mother-daughter bonding. Mom picked August up, and the moment he came home, he went straight to the bathroom and threw up. Then he went to his bed and pulled the covers over his head. Mom took his temperature, brought him some hot tea, and assumed the August mom role again. Via's mom, who had come out for a little while, was put away. I understood, though. August was in bad shape. Neither one of us asked him why he had worn his bleeding scream costume to school instead of the Boba Fett costume Mom had made for him. If it annoyed Mom to see the costume she had worked on for 2 weeks tossed on the floor, unsure she didn't show it.